Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I am Chris.
I am Audra.
I am Tony.
I am Cherie.
I am Lourdes Gonzalez.
And I am Ron Allgood. I got to do it once. I had to do it once. My brother from another mother.
It felt good. It felt good.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca and Melissa.
I love watching the opening of the show, like the moments when Tony and Cherie were out here and we did the one from Kingsland. We're kind of like we heard something in the evidence. I love that those moments come back to you. Like we exhausted ourselves, but we had a blast.
That was a good trip.
It's actually our anniversary last week, right?
Of the trip.
Of the trip.
Before
we celebrated Anthony's birthday just before we left.
Happy belated birthday.
Right.
Anthony Simonelli.
Mr. Simonelli, happy birthday.
Hey,
Carrie.
Carrie and Nancy.
Hey, Facebook is showing up. It's not Carrie the Facebook user this week.
Hey, Anthony.
Hi, Anton.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah.
Yes. How exciting.
Yes, very, very, very.
Everybody seems alive. It's Monday. Yay.
Monday.
Nice to hear it.
Anybody got anything going on later this week?
Again, my husband shished me.
We don't mention Monday until it's Tuesday.
Until Monday's officially over.
We just don't mention it.
And
Okay,
as far as
What is going this weekend, huh?
this weekend is
the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, and we get for the first time, for people who don't know, because we've worked with Tony and Cherie, and Tony and Cherie worked with Chris and Audra a lot because they used to live near each other. We've never been in the same room with Chris and Audra, and we're going to do that for the first time in Gettysburg this weekend. And I can't tell you, with all jokes aside, super excited about that. It's been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
Imagine two of your favorite people you've ever met, and you haven't ever been in the same room with them.
I mean, we love the Gettysburg Bash.
Yeah, me too.
We love the Gettysburg Bash. We always look forward to it, but this year is extra special because you guys are coming. So,
whenever we get to spend time with either of you couples, because we're not in the same area day to day, it's like for us, it's like a big deal. We look forward to it.
Christmas.
Hopefully in the future it'll be more easy for all three of us, all six of us to get there. All three of us, because I consider us all one. Yeah. All of us to get together, maybe.
When we move to North Carolina, right?
That's what we're hoping for.
Yep. And it'll be cool.
Yeah.
It'll be easier, yeah.
That's what part of the Philippines is that?
I don't know.
We sort of gave that plan the boot.
Yeah.
Because
I'm glad.
Because we don't want to be far from you guys.
I'm glad. I was a little bit bummed out by that when I heard it. Whatever you guys are happy doing and however your lives prosper, I'm all for it. But the little personal part for me was like, I'm bummed out about it.
Oh, Ricky.
I appreciate that very much.
Hell, you got Ricky Hellard.
Oh, we missed Ronald.
No,
hey, Ronald.
Yeah.
That's Ricky.
It is now, Ricky, because you're here.
Yeah,
right.
you joined us.
Right on.
For those of you that don't know Ricky Hellard, he's hella cool.
Hello.
So.
That's right.
All right. So I suppose we should get to our guest. He's in the waiting room.
I know.
Missed you too.
So we got a really good guest this week, guys. We've got Joshua Shares. I hope I said that right. He's a paranormal investigator, writer, researcher, musician, and publicist. And sometimes he sleeps. So he got interested in the supernatural at an early age, watching Unsolved Mysteries. Man, that show has hooked so many more people.
Right?
And
He really did.
A graduate of Westchester University, a future graduate student majoring in business administration. Good for him. He
Wow.
co-founded the Summerwind Restoration Society, which is fantastic. Anybody that gets involved in restoring old places that we love to investigate is number one in my book.
Wait, hold on a second, Chris. Did you say Summerwind
Yes.
in northern Wisconsin?
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Oh, that's right. Well, you're from Tony's from northern Wisconsin.
Well, there's nothing left of Summerwind but a chimney, but it's a cool spot.
That looks like they're trying to restore it. Well, let's bring him in and talk about it.
Yeah.
Everybody say hello to Josh.
Hello.
Hello.
Josh.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yep.
Phantom detectives.
That's cool.
Okay, so we
I
started
want
talking
that
about
shirt.
Summerwind, Josh. Tell us about Summerwind because Tony's hooked now. What are you doing with Summerwind?
Sure. Okay, so Summerwind, as we all know, is a ruined mansion on the shores of West Bay Lake in Wisconsin. It was built by a guy named John Frank in 1914. He was from Akron, Ohio, and then basically you could stay there for $4.99 a night. Basically, it was like a fishing lodge. And then in 1916, it was bought by future U.S. Secretary of Commerce Robert Patterson Lamont in 1916, and it was converted by Chicago architects Thomas Talmadge and Vernon Watson. They did a lot of cathedrals and stuff like that in Chicago. And then basically, once it was reconverted to a mansion, it was Mr. Lamont moved his family in, and he was the U.S. Secretary of Commerce under President Herbert Hoover. And in the mansion, basically, his servants would tell him that the place was haunted, and basically that that there was ghosts, like a floating lady in the kitchen area. And then he just told his servants, "Grow up. There's no such thing as ghosts." And then in 1935, he actually was sitting at the basically in the table outside in the kitchen, basically with his wife one night eating dessert, and the basement door flew open, revealing the ghostly form of a man. So he fired his black powdered pistol, fired 2 shots, thus missing the ghost, and then going in right into the and never returned to the mansion. And then unfortunately, when he died in 1948, the property went to a lady by the name of Lillian Kiefer, and Miss Kiefer bought it again. And over the next 20 years, she would have owners come and go. It wasn't until the Hinshaw family had moved in 1969, in the summer of 1969, where things really started getting really crazy. So when the Hinshaw family moved in, Ginger had 3 kids of her own. Arnold had 3 kids of his own. And so when they moved in, they had to nail all the basically windows shut because they started flying open on their own for no reason. When they would have workers come to the house, basically tools would get moved, and appliances would break down, and then basically start fixing themselves, and then refix themselves automatically. There was also reports that the car, Arnold had a construction business, and the car had caught on fire. And of course, there was the story of the Carver effect of paranormal experience, written by Wolfgang von Bober in 1979. There was this episode called "The Haunting of Summerwind" on the Haunting, season 1, episode 2, and there basically, of course, the stepfather went mad. He played the organ to all hours of the night, and then of course the family had to stay in one room in the mansion. And then of course, basically Ginger tried committing suicide, and then the Arnold was committed to a mental institution. But then the place reverted back to Miss Kiefer, and then Ginger's father, Wolfgang von Bober, had bought it and tried to make it go to the place again, and he ran into similar problems that the Hinshaws did, such as tools breaking down. When they would measure rooms, Summerwind was known to change shape, according to the reports. And I actually own the original blueprints to Summerwind, which I bought from Ray's father, Wolfgang Ray von Bober's junior, who Junior basically was involved in it for a while. But then what happened was basically when he unfortunately had similar problems, and he would see visions of the gunshots while in the mansion. But unfortunately, in 1978, 79, he gave it back to Miss Kiefer. And unfortunately, Miss Kiefer died in 1985. And then a couple from La Crosse, Wisconsin, by the name of Harold and Babs Tracy, who are good friends with my friend Craig Nehring from the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters. They basically actually reported Mr. Tracy bought the mansion as a wedding anniversary present to his wife. And then after buying the wedding anniversary present to his wife, they report walking up to the mansion one night, and the mansion was like inhaling, like almost like breathing, like it had a life of its own. But then in Father's Day of 1988, unfortunately, the place was leveled. And there's reports that a neighbor at Summerwind that lived there named Jim Lechner, he actually has since passed away, but he was good friends with Craig, and Craig is good friends with the owners of the property, Harold and Babs Tracy. And basically
Craig's
found out that
part owner, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yep. Yes, he is. And basically, Craig is part owner of the mansion. And basically, I know that when we started this in 2014, that basically he, of course, the township was actually responsible for leveling the place. And according to Jim Lechner, who was there in 1988 on Father's Day, the township said it was going to be a controlled fire on site, not to worry about being there. So the township actually went ahead and, behind the cover of dark, basically, they put bales of hay in different houses and then started to pour gasoline and just leveled the place completely because they were tired of people legend tripping and trespassing on the property. And then, of course, Craig went to school with Kevin Malik from the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society. Kevin since passed away in end of 2019. But Craig and I are trying to rebuild Summerwind, and right now we're to a point where we've been done radio shows, we've been featured in magazines. We're trying to basically find somebody to air an updated version of the haunting episode of Summerwind. So we feel like we're getting to a point now where basically it's got a lot of interest from a lot of people. We just need to find a filmmaker who can go work with Craig on property to record an updated version of the Summerwind story. Then we could air that on like Travel Channel or Paraflix, depending on what platform might work best. But there's definitely a lot of interest in rebuilding Summerwind, according to many people. And there's even a story from Summerwind from April Hinshaw that'll just gore your hair. According to the legend, Arnold, who actually, his real name was Jim Hill, the stepfather that lived there in the 1970s, actually sent his daughter in this crawl space, but he won't open to shine a flashlight. And according to this story, basically that there was a skeleton with black hair by the name of Lucy. And then when they went back to call the police the next day, the skeleton had disappeared. So that story has been a part of the Summerwind folklore for, over 40 years now. And I still talk to
totally cool.
And I've been a good friend.
Everybody watching, I want you to get out your pen and paper. Now we're going to have a Summerwind quiz, and if you flunked that fucker, you weren't paying attention.
I know. Are you a historian?
Yeah, I'm very much a paranormal historian. I was the publicist for the Restoration Society, which I still serve to this day. Since I'm in Pennsylvania running my own team, I kind of help Craig get on like radio shows, put like magazine articles. I kind of help promote the society that we had founded, and he kind of runs it now. But I kind of help co-found it with him, so we still maintain contact. And right now, I think the biggest thing we just need is to find someone on site a filmmaker that can go down and record for them, and then we can contact Paraflix or Discovery Plus and see if they want to air it. So it just comes down to finding the right people to get involved with it.
That's totally awesome, Josh. That's really cool.
Thank you. And my idea is no one's rebuilt a haunted house. And my idea is imagine making a Zach Bagans haunted museum of the Midwest. And that's what I could see Summerwind being if it's rebuilt, with the original blueprints.
You might not want to put Zach's name on that, though, if you work so hard on it.
Absolutely.
No.
We won't do that. But that's the idea. It's the inspiration behind the museum.
I give you credit for your hard work, bud.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. I don't have anything against Zach Bagans' museum. I'm just saying, after all the work Josh has put into it, as much history as he knows, we don't want to put Zach's name on it.
Absolutely.
He already owns a house in the Midwest that he tore down and put in his museum.
The Demon House. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he did.
All right, bud. I'd love to keep talking about Summerwind, but this is about you and your evidence. So let's get rolling so we can show everybody what you've captured so far. So let's start with the images.
Sure.
And I'm going to start with your SLS image. You want to tell us about that one?
Sure, absolutely. And feel free to, when you put it up. This was recovered from basically a show. This was actually recovered in a property out in Norwood, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. We were there. A homeowner reported basically his daughter had seen a little boy spirit in basically her room, and then basically the couple that had lived there, their name escapes me at the moment, but basically they were actually living there at the time. And what happened was this was in the basement area. So Rick and I were using the digital dowsing SLS camera against a solid wall to capture this. This was right outside the basement area of the home, and so we went ahead and mapped it. And what we always try to do when using the SLS camera is to be able to put it against solid walls, because it's very easy if you have like a water bottle or a chandelier hanging from a basically, from a ceiling, it can cause a false mapping. So we always try our best to hit solid walls. So this was, and what was interesting was right in this area, we set up a REM pod, basically, motion sensor REM pod, beep, 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 like with lights on it. And that started going off like crazy. And that was near no electrical line. So when you can put the SLS image, map that, and also add the REM pod and a K2 with spiking, you've got something pretty solid, I believe.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is cool, yeah, and good that you take the care to know if it's a wall, that there's nothing that's going to create a false positive. I think that's one of the knocks against the SLS camera is that people who think it's not useful or don't think it's legitimate will say that, well, it can create false positives. Well, everything can create false positives, but you have to have some level of awareness, discernment, and how the device works.
That's right.
In order to avoid or rule those out. So that's good that you pointed that out, that's a wall, because you have some variations in color and people might not know what, that's what that is.
Exactly. And we actually we're one of the few teams that actually have one of the original digital dowsing SLS cameras, because those are very collectible. And basically, in terms of all that, like they're very highly sought after. And Bill Chappell, of course, built the SLS camera, which stands for Structured Light Sensor. And basically that camera actually, of course, the digital dowsing version has a little bit more bells and whistles versus the original, like has some extra, like, temperature meters, EMF meters, stuff like, EMF field meters, stuff like that. So it's a really neat camera. I still love it and use it to this day because it's been, it works really well. So Bill is like one of the best paranormal vendors, I think, on the planet,
Agreed.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a cool piece of equipment. I love using it. You just got to know how to use it. You got to know how to use it.
Absolutely. And the really neat thing about the camera is I love, because especially if you can use solid walls and use usually they work really well in light. And when you find things like from solid walls, and you can take it anywhere, like in the asylums, historical societies. I mean, it works great in all areas.
It's a cool capture.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a look at this next one.
Cool.
Tell us about this one, Josh.
Sure. So this is actually a really amazing image. This was actually from our 10th investigation. We actually are good friends with Jotnick's Paranormal. And there's a place in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania called Booby's Brewery, which is, right in the ballroom. So,
wait, these are boobies?
Yeah, this is from Booby's. Yep, Booby's Brewery. So what's interesting was Melissa was picking up on a woman spirit in the ballroom area, and we did our investigation there in May. And basically, we used a FLIR TG165 that we got from Dave Giuliano from the Ghost Hunter store. I love Dave; he's just amazing with equipment, and just one of the nicest guys in the world. And we bought one of the TG165s from him, so we aimed it against an unoccupied. The ballroom was unoccupied at the time, and we just hit it against a solid wall, and this is what appeared. So, I think especially anytime, and I know that according to the area, in the ballroom, there was also a couple girls named Ani and Tekla who are known to haunt that room. So that, is it possible? Could be their spirits? Very possible. And I know that, Boobies, especially in the catacombs, is very haunted as well. And when you go up to the bar and the ballroom, all those areas are very active in every part of the
I agree with you 100%, Josh. Boobies have haunted me most of my life.
Wow.
So let's get a little bit more facts behind this capture you got here. So we can see that there's a wall behind which is showing heat in between the images that you captured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the ambient temperature in the room seems to be 71.3. So these images are showing up in the 30s, 40s, 50s in some ranges.
Exactly. Yup. And what was interesting was, especially if it were a living person, and this is what Dave Giuliano told me, we would, if it was someone like us, it would be like an orange or a red, you would see a very defined color behind the thermal capture. But when you can basically doing an unoccupied room and you got a cold signature, you definitely might have some possible paranormal evidence because there's no basically way that these should be shown up. And what was interesting was right after that had happened, basically we had set up basically some other motion sensor. We also have a Medusa head, which kind of will basically like shake and stuff like that. So we have a bunch of motion sensor stuff, and that was going off in that same area as well. So I believe when you got the thermal image on top of like more equipment that you can use to pair with it, it makes a good collaboration.
Right.
Definitely.
And then look like, go ahead, Shri.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say, it looks like there's 2, possibly 3. It looks like there's another one on the side.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
cool capture.
And you know what was wild that night when we were in the catacombs? Like Rick was down, like our lead investigator runs his own UFO organization, and I'll get you guys in touch with him in the near future, called ERC, Extraterrestrial Research Center, and we use the S box from Ghost Stop, which is you scans AM and FM radio stations. And the night that we were trying to run it in the catacombs, it would not work. But then once we took it up to the actual in the bar area, basically, it was like working totally fine. So it's funny how some of these equipment, basically, they will act on command. Like they will choose the equipment that they want to actually, choose to use, and then basically other piece of equipment they'll try to stop them from, working.
Yeah. That has happened, and a lot of people who've experienced where equipment failures that were anomalous that they couldn't explain. The only thing I would suggest maybe because we had something similar happen. We did an underground mine in northern New Jersey. The ghost boxes that sweep through the radio frequencies, if you put them in a place where they can't receive any radio frequencies, they're pretty much devoid of efficiency because they have nothing to sweep through. So that's probably what happened when you came to the upper floor. You were getting able to get reception, and now the ghost box, the S box could work. You're able to pull evidence from it.
Exactly, because especially down the catacombs, it's a whole kind of a basement area of the brewery. So basically, so when you're like in an underground, it's like kind of like an underground bunker. It's like you can't get as much, like your AM and FM stations might not be as clean or clear. While basically, exactly, if you're even lucky, because you need that radio signal for it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. The mine we went into, that's where spirit boxes go to die. People don't get anything. It's a zinc mine too, so it's completely devoid of any cell signal, radio signal, nothing.
Right.
So
absolutely.
But you got voices wrong.
We did direct radio voice, which for a variety of reasons we speculate, and Tony knows because Tony's in the driver's seat now too. Direct radio voice is not reliant upon radio reception to function, and we got a lot of vocals in the mine. That was actually a proving ground situation for us, just to see if it would actually work.
Wow, that's amazing. And especially like sometimes you just have to like know exactly where when you're scanning your ghost box, like they're trying to find the best places so we get the best clear reception. And we noticed like the AM stations work really well because those are all like talk radio stations, so you can roll out like any kind of music, being played on FM.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
That is so cool.
All right, so let's jump to your next image. Josh, I don't want to run out of time. I want to show all your stuff here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us about this one.
So this one was in the bar area of same place, Booby's Brewery, in the where Algonius Booby was basically known to Aloysius Brewery was known to basically there. So we were actually this was against one of the solid corners. Melissa and Jerry Keller were there with our nights, our friends from Jotniks. So basically we captured this same idea, just found an unoccupied room, hit a corner of the wall, and just pretty much just took. Clearly just aim, point, and click the camera, and then just this popped up on review. So much like the other one, you see an entity kind of standing there, like in the corner by itself. And once again, we tried to look for any kind of reflected surfaces that could have caused it. And I've taken it to many people, and they seem like they all have no reasonable explanation why that is there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So I want to point something out. I don't think you caught it, Josh.
Right.
So you're talking about the entity on the right in the corner, correct?
Yes.
Look to the left. It appears you caught a second one holding its own head.
Wow. I didn't even see that upon further review. Interesting.
Are you guys seeing that?
Yeah.
Over to the left, you see the dark figure?
Yes.
There's a head there. It almost looks like it's Watch my hand over here. It's almost like here. Take this down. It's almost like it's standing there holding its own head. Let me show that again.
Yeah. I see that right on the left corner in the left window, like a
You
shadow.
see it?
Yep.
It looks like it has its right arm up, and in its left hand, it looks like it's holding a head.
That is wild.
Yeah, I see that. That's crazy.
I did not see that upon thorough reviewing this, and it usually like sometimes it's amazing. I love like with like reviewing stuff and having like look at pictures, because sometimes you see a different set of eyes. You might see something that we didn't miss on the review.
That's
Did you guys feel anything when you guys investigate that place?
What's the question? Sorry.
Did you guys feel anything when you guys investigate that place? Any?
Oh, absolutely. Like Rick and Melissa, especially, our team members. Of course, Melissa is a student of Cindy Kaiser from the Holzer files. She's a psychic medium, so she was feeling the connections. Like she was able to pick up on names and basically who created the brewery, basically, and also she was also picking up on like different like women, like a woman that had a brothel there at one time. That was correct, right along with the history. She was also picking up on a fire there, which occurred in 1893. And also Rick. And what was interesting was the night when we went up to the area of the bar area, when we finished up the night, we actually had the tripwire EMF laid out from North Canton Paranormal Detectives. That was going off like crazy. And of course, I love Jeff's Paralight that he runs. And what's interesting was Rick and Melissa were feeling like there was just a lot of pressure on their chest. Like they could not. It was like feeling like a giant weight was placed on their chest, and that feeling is among many investigators who go to the brewery in Mount Joy.
We actually know Melissa.
Yeah, she was involved with the Holdeman Mansion in Bainbridge for a while.
Oh, that's so wonderful! And so
we worked with them over there. They were very nice people.
Yeah,
we liked working.
They
with
are.
them.
Josh, that was caught at Boobies too.
Yep.
Boobies in the brothel.
So isn't it interesting? It was a brothel at one time, and then they named it Boobies.
Yes. Pretty wild.
I'm gonna get us kicked off of Facebook. Watch.
I like her show. Thank you.
I love Melissa and Jerry. They're wonderful.
Yeah, Melissa's.
Yeah, they were very nice.
A good supporter of the show, and she's
Is
always
that the same
fabulous.
Melissa?
No,
that's not the same.
No. Keller.
Different Melissa. Different Melissa Keller.
Oh, I thought I said Blackman.
Melissa Blackman's cool though. Too.
Yeah, gosh, she's fabulous.
Yeah, she is cool too.
All right, Josh. Episode 2. Door opens on it.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I can't see the whole thing.
No problem.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And you can also find it, if worse comes to worse, you guys having issues loading it, just type in Phantom Detectives LLC on YouTube, and there should be like a little, 1 minute long clip,
Okay, here we go.
Cool.
Oh, it's too.
Mm-hmm.
In case y'all didn't see that, here it goes again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a shadow at the bottom of the door? It looks like there's a little miniature person there.
Yep.
Hang on, let's do that again.
That's a good catch, Audra.
It's quick. Hang on.
Oh, it's too.
Wow.
Oh, as the door opened.
Yeah.
So, our former team member, Sasha, had captured this. Basically, our former team lead investigator, she's a Civil War reenactor, sound engineer. We were at a place called the Mill of Aunt Selma, which is in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania, on January 9th, 2021, our second investigation ever. It was just my former lead investigator and she's since moved on and starting some new projects. So we were using the security camera, putting it in the corner, and we use a Zuzi NVR security camera. And what was wild was basically we were the only ones on the property that night. And basically there, we went ahead and just put it in the corner. And all of a sudden, when we reviewed the evidence, a week later, that door was bolted shut. It was latched. We were the only ones on the property, so there is no way that thing could have, for that thing to open up the latch and fly open on its own. I have no reasonable explanation why that happened. And I think, sometimes. The cameras basically, the NVR cameras and the DVR cameras basically can pick up a lot of things that we can't see to the human eye,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
I actually like to defer to Chris for something since Chris knows doors and windows. I've only used them, but Chris actually knows.
I noticed. Go ahead.
So there was an oddity to me, at least from the door opened, and now you think, all right, possibly wind could have done it. But
Right.
like a wind-driven door, I thought would have kind of like gradually petered out. Like it would have gotten to a certain distance and like slowed down gradually. But that thing opened with precision and just stopped.
Yeah.
Right. So let me show
Something
that
like
again.
open and someone
Yeah.
walks.
Let me show that again.
Oh, it's too.
Yes.
Like it
Yeah.
didn't.
Oh, it's too.
You see
Sorry.
the
Yeah, and you can see that thing is open with force. It's not like it's like wind pushing it, because you could tell, but
Right.
it's like being like quickly like just thrown open like that, you know.
yeah.
What's the structure of the
what's odd about
building? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
I was going to say that's what's odd about the stoppage to me is that it opened up with some kind of like inertia or force, but then it just stopped clean. Like it's not abrupt. It didn't shake. It didn't slowly. It opened with a push and then just stalled.
Exactly.
So there's a couple things to notice about this door. One, it's an old Dutch door, and that top of that door is not original, because back in those days they wouldn't have had glass, and they definitely wouldn't have true divided glass like it was on top of that door.
Exactly.
The second thing is, if you notice, there's 3 barn hinges on that door, and barn hinges are strictly metal to metal.
Right.
It's a little hook like this, and it sits down like this, right?
Right.
And it's metal to metal, constantly moving, constantly. So for that door, with that much metal friction, with that weight of that solid door, that door's about 3/4 inches thick, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
so that door's 3/4 inches thick without the cross beams that are mounted on the surface of it, and they're opposite side too. So that door probably weighs about 150 to 160 pounds sitting on those 3. That's why it has the 3 barn hinges, because back in those days, a lighter door would have had 2, because they didn't. The barn hinges were huge; they could support a lot of weight. That one has 3, so that's a pretty heavy slab on that door. So for that door to move with that much friction on the hinges and that much weight and that much to move that much,
That's a lot of.
and then come to an instant stop like that, it's completely contradictory to the what's the word I'm looking for? I always have a problem with one freaking word every show. The inertia of the door, it doesn't make sense with the physicality of the weight of the door and the hinges, the type of hinges that are used on it.
Oh yeah, and like I said, this door I think is it's not original, but I know the history of the mill dates back to 1747. It predates like pre-America, you know, what was founded. So I know it's the oldest continuing operating mill in the United States. Like, you know, it's on the National Historic Designation List, and you know, it was founded by Samuel Lightfoot. So it's up in Chester Springs, which is above like Downingtown, Pennsylvania. So definitely a very historic location, you know.
Right.
Chris, can you play that again, please?
Sure. Here we go.
Oh, it's too.
One more time.
Oh, it's too.
You know what they say: when one door opens, it keeps opening.
Exactly.
Here's what's even more intriguing. Josh, did you guys make sure that door was completely latched when it was shut?
Absolutely. Like that thing was completely like bolted and everything the night that we were there. And I have no reasonable.
That thing has what's called a lever latch door on it. Right. So it's got a latch like this on the wall.
Yep.
It's got a lever that comes down and locks into that latch.
Yep.
And that mechanism alone weighs about a pound.
Yes.
And literally, if you look at my finger, that little latch bar that comes down off of that door sits about 2.5 inches down.
Just down. Exactly. For it to like go up like that would require like, you know, like wind or something, like really something strong to push it open.
The opposite side of that bar that goes down into that U latch that's mounted on the wall of the door.
Right.
It's just a straight bar with a little handle on it, and you literally have to push it down in order to unlatch that door. So if that door was completely latched, not only was the force of the door being pushed by something we don't know what it was, but something also pushed down on that latch hard enough for that latch to come up and that door to come open.
Oh, so the amount of wind that it would have taken to open that door should have been swinging like boom, right? Instead of just gradually opening.
With the weight of that door, the type of hinges that are on that door, it would have taken about a 50-mile-an-hour wind to push it that hard and that fast. And because of that glass partition that they put on top of that door, you would have seen that flex with the wind prior to the door moving.
Exactly. And especially with us being on the property, like, only ones being there that night, and then factor in basically other things had happened that night as well. It was definitely a wild experience that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
One more time, Chris.
I was going to say that because
Right,
it's awesome. Oh, it's too.
Yeah. And if you notice, that top piece of glass that's been manufactured for the top part of that Dutch door is actually leaning in a little bit. So if the wind would have caught it, you'd have seen that thing flex.
Right.
Watch the top of that door again. There's no flex at the top of that door at all.
Oh, it's too.
Now I see that.
But does it not look like at the bottom that somebody like just steps in, like there's just a half
After it opens up?
Yeah, like somebody just stepped in. I don't know if I'm just
I see that.
or, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I thought maybe it was the shadow of the person who's filming it, and then when it opens, that's what I think. And then it kind of, but I don't know. Pictures are not my forte, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I want to look at that one more time.
One more time, Chris.
Oh, it's too.
All right. So let's move on to the next one now that we've watched that one 80 times.
Sure.
but that's cool. When it sparks conversation, that's a good thing.
Definitely.
That's a good thing.
All right. This one is rope swings by itself.
Cool.
Is that a rope or a
Yep.
rope?
Like a little rope that was swinging. So what was wild was this was a couple hours later in the night. Same investigation, the middle of Van Selma, the second floor. We set a DVR camera against the corner right outside Mr. Collins, Oliver Collins, who was the shop person. That it was the mill right there for like 60 years. Created the mill. So basically, we created it was like there's like a second floor rope right outside where the steps are. And for that thing to move, like we were on the third floor at the time, so there was no way that it could have been us or anybody there that night. So for that thing to swing back and forth by itself, I have no reasonable explanation, because basically we were on top of the third floor doing EVPs, or what we call phantom time, is where we basically use like a K2 meter and then we use some extra stuff to try to, do our EVP session. So that was pretty wild for that rope just to go back and forth like that. And I have no reasonable explanation why that happened.
Right, no open windows or anything like that. You ruled all that stuff out. Yeah.
Exactly, everything was closed, and it was for those door windows at the mill have to they have a crank on them, so you have to open up with rotate a crank to be able to open them up. They're kind of old fashioned, basically at the mill of Van Selma there.
So. Yeah. Interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you place cameras all over locations too, because you can't be everywhere.
Exactly.
Sometimes we think they do it just because we're not.
Exactly.
Exactly. and sometimes you can think that basically and what was wild was not only that, I think on our website, this is just not on the stuff that I sent, but you can see, I can send you guys a picture after the show of a shadow lady. There was actually a poet there named Sarah Oberheiser that once lived there in the 1920s and 1930s. You can see the silhouette of a shadow lady, literally right in that area of the rope. So is that possible that could have been her? Sure. But but I'll have to show you guys that, after we're done here.
Wow.
All right. So let's start with your EVPs.
Sure.
And real quick, guys, at about 17 minutes at 9:57. If we're not done with the show yet, we're gonna UNX is gonna switch over to their next audio program. But we've got about 5 EVPs left. If we're not done at 9:57, you can still catch us finishing up at live on YouTube and live on Facebook.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. All right, here we go. EVP 1. So I didn't get a chance to listen to these really close because I've been working late a few nights, Josh. So you're going to have to describe us. We might have to listen to them a couple times.
Sure.
But this is EVP 1. Here we go.
Unfortunately, I could not hear that. Basically, but I think I could think back to the list. Like, what did you hear? Did you guys hear any kind of growling on it? Sorry, I couldn't hear the hear it off the top of my head.
Again.
Play it again.
Play it again, please.
Do it again.
Yeah, just play it. Well, it sounds like children talking in the background.
Yeah, there's that hello, and then it sounds like children in the background.
Yeah, definitely.
What happened to you?
No, we lost your video,
We
Josh.
can't see you, Josh.
Sorry. Can you guys see me now?
No.
No. Turn the lights back on.
Sorry about that. Somehow the camera messed up. But I think, I think it was interesting. I think that was, if I remember correctly, there was one of them from the Betsy Ross house that we did because we were there in April. And I think you can hear a growl. And Rick and I think that's EVP 2 or 3. And then another one you'll hear like this was from John Carty's. He had a place in Philadelphia. So you can hear the words right here. Like Melissa, our psychic medium, was saying, "Is there an older woman here? Is this her home?" And we got a response that says right here. And then another one, I think EVP 1 was you'll hear the word "be afraid," be afraid. And this was during the world's largest ghost hunt investigation that we did at the Sanderson Museum in Chadds Ford. So I think those are the 3 EVPs that I sent. One from the Sanderson Museum, one from the Betsy Ross house, and the other one was from John Carty's JC's up in Philadelphia.
Okay, so let's play EVP 2 and see if we can figure out which one that one is. All right, here we go.
Let's try sitting across one run. If you don't want us to be in this room, please.
Yeah, now I hear it. I had to push the button. Now I hear it. That's from Betsy Ross. So that was in the basement area of the Betsy Ross house where the first flag was shown in 1776. Basically, so Rick and Sasha were down there at that time doing, what's wild was Rick has a, one of those REM pod, basically scare bears that was going off at the same time Sasha's North Canton Paranormal Detectives Paralight was going off. So, those growls were actually pulled from Rick's audio recorder. So that was pretty wild. That happened.
Let's hope they weren't coming from the bear.
I hope not. And what's interesting is a lot of people at the Betsy Ross house in the basement area for many years have felt unsafe. I know that people report seeing Betsy's spirit in many parts of the house. It's one of the most haunted places in America and one of the most historic.
That's pretty
I'd
cool.
love to go there. Where's
Philadelphia?
Don't ask me.
In Philly?
Yeah,
it's in Philly.
Yeah.
There you go. Now EVP 3, right? That was 2.
Make sure I press the screen so I can hear it. But say push the hear button as soon as you load it up, and I'll be able to describe it for you.
You ready, Josh?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so this is pretty wild. This was at a place called White Chimneys, which is right outside Gap, Pennsylvania. It's a wedding venue, basically right outside Lancaster. So what was interesting was that night, basically, we were there doing an investigation. And of course, the history of White Chimneys dates back. It used to be the slave maker and lock company. The founder that actually created it, it's back in the 1800s. It was actually George Washington might have visited there on his way to Lancaster when he was, in Valley Forge in 1777. So the home dates back to like the 1750s. And what was interesting was Rick was up in the attic area running the ghost box by himself, the S box, and went ahead and started, scanning the AM and FM stations. And we got this really, voice, I know there was reports one time of slaves, like, once staying in the and this was back in the 1860s, as part of the Underground Railroad, that, there was actually slaves staying on the property of the house. And the funny thing is, Jessica, the owner of White Chimneys, is good friends with my sister. So for that, for that voice to pop up in the attic area of White Chimneys, I have no reasonable explanation. That's something that Rick pulled from his, Rick Warren, our lead investigator, from his S-Box scanning session.
Lourdes, can you tell what that was saying? It almost sounded like
I cannot.
It says something about family. Play it again.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's not an EVP. That sounds like a spirit box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
And you can hear that now, like in my family
female voice, right? That female tone.
Yeah.
I think that my family was there.
It's something along that lines. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a spirit box, right?
Yes. S-Box.
Yep.
It was S-Box.
S-Box. Yep. And we also do have the PSP 7 and the 11. I have them in my inventory. We always use the S-Box because it records everything on like a SD card, which is kind of really nice because you can back everything up, unlike the older like Gary Gulka, DS distribution ones, because there's only, you have to use a voice recorder with those. But the nice thing about the S-Box, it records it all,
Yeah, but it doesn't record the questions. That's the only reason why I don't like it.
Yeah, I got excited about that too when I first heard they were coming out with that. But one of the things that gives authenticity to evidence out of a ghost box is when it's an answer to a question. Like if I go, what am I touching, and it says glasses, that's a response. But if all you hear is the word glasses,
There's no relevance.
It doesn't tie it together. And the S-Box doesn't record you; it only records the sweep.
Exactly.
So you always still run a recorder anyway, I would think, just to make sure you get the whole.
But it's a good box. It is a good box.
It's a good box, though.
Yeah.
It is, and I think we also used a portal, which is like hooked up, with the guitar pedals. I think that's what we were using that night. So I think Rick was talking about something about, like, is there any family, here or something like that? And that's where they got the response. The family members stay out,
Oh, wow.
and
that's a cool response. Yeah.
Thank you.
Using guitar pedals, you're lucky you didn't pick up Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. That would have been pretty wild.
Yeah. All right, EVP 4. Here we go.
Okay.
I heard something.
Yeah,
that was quick. Let's play that again.
Okay. So this was an hour later, same place, different room. We were in, I think this one was up in another, like there was another part of the attic, and this was Rick was up there scanning, same thing, the S-Box, and asking a question about pennies, or saying, something about like, and then all of a sudden we got this response that says Pennywith. So to me, this was from, this was right a week before Christmas when we were at White Chimneys. So pretty wild we got the, basically the Pennywith response, because I was trying to figure out, like, and what was wild was I was with the owner's kids doing EVPs in one, like doing the voice sessions down in the basement area, and then like literally I heard like this penny or this thing fly across the thing, and I tried to look around the area, but there was no, like, it sounded like someone threw a coin or a quarter, but none of the kids had change in their pockets. They couldn't have threw it themselves. So when you hear the word penny,
relation. That's the relation to the Pennywith.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Because I started thinking, Georgie floating his boat down the rain gutter, and the little clown in the gutter. Hey, Georgie. Sorry.
You had to do it. You had to.
Pennywise, right?
Yeah, Pennywise. Sorry, that's Pennywise. Sorry.
Close.
Let's play that again, because that one's hard to hear. Let's play that again. That was 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That time I heard it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
One more time.
That's actually pretty good.
One more time. You want to hear it again? All right, here we go.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear it now. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was wild.
Like, a penny. That would have been really cool.
Absolutely. But Ben Franklin once said, "A penny saved is a penny earned."
Or a penny thrown.
Or a penny thrown. Yes.
All right, Josh, we're getting close on time here, so let's go ahead and do EVP 5, and then we'll talk about some shameless plugs. What do you got here? Here we go. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
Okay.
It's in the beginning, yeah.
That was
So-
quick. Let's play it again. Let's play it again, Josh.
Play it again. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Harm?
So,
One more
this was-
time.
Sure.
One more
Let's
time.
play it one more time. Hang on, Josh.
No problem.
I want people to hear it before you explain it, because once you explain it, then we hear it. But
Yeah.
we want to hear it before. Hang on.
Sure.
Harmed.
Armed.
Harmed?
It's harmed.
Yeah, that's what we got too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more time. Sorry, one more time, because I'm hearing two things.
Oh, really? All right, here we go. Yeah, there's something right before the harmed.
Yeah. One more time.
Play it again.
I
Play it
hope it
again.
didn't change time.
No, it's one stretched out word, and I think it's harmed.
Yeah, it goes, it's
Yeah.
harmed. That's what I hear.
Harmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, where was this, Josh?
This was the same place. Both of these guys were recorded at White Chimneys, Gap, Pennsylvania, right outside of Lancaster. Basically, so it's the wedding venue I was talking about, and pretty wild that basically we were in. I think this was actually recorded just in another room. I think it was like right inside. There was a big mirror inside there and a fireplace in one of the main living rooms, and that's where that popped up on the ghost box. So same place, just from the previous one, just a different room.
That's cool.
All right.
That is way cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
Armed.
Awesome
Harmed.
capture.
Yeah.
Fire,
Hard
fire.
or harm.
Or fireplace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harmed.
Harmed. Harmed.
Harmed.
I spelled that right? Yeah.
It's harm.
Well, Scott said be either harm or armed.
Yeah.
Harmed.
Yeah.
It's always awesome to look at the comments in from the viewers, because then we got Genghis Khan that says it's hard or it's harmed.
Well, at first I thought it's hard at first, but then when you play it again, you can hear it's harmed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought there was
the
something before it
silhouette.
too. I was trying to figure out what the first, but it's just drawn out.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's that effect where, like when Ron sounds drunk, where the EVP comes through really fast and then Ron slows it down so you get it at normal speed. This is the opposite.
It's quick.
Right.
It's,
Right.
it's
Quickly.
it's drug out and it's slower. So if you were to speed that up, it'd be harmed.
Right.
Right.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
That one's a good one.
That is
Thank
a
you.
good one.
Mhm.
All right,
Very cool.
Josh, we've got 7 minutes.
Sure.
In that 7 minutes, we have to do our closing, but you have most of that 7 minutes to tell us. This is where we call shameless plugs.
Okay.
Tell us anything you're doing, where you're going to be, anything you got going on, where people can find you, where they can look at your evidence online. Go ahead. It's all
Sure.
yours, man.
All right. So basically, to find us online, the first thing is you can go to darkmatternews.com, DARKMEMATTER news.com. So DARKMATTER news.com. That is our first brand, a paranormal news hub that we have, originally founded by Art Bell's affiliate director, Leo Ashcraft. We also have ERC, ERC, the number 2, explore, EXPLORE.com. So that's ERC2explorer.com. That is our lead investigator's website, and our director of client relations, Rick, who runs his own UFO-based organization. So ERC2explorer.com, darkmatternews.com, and of course our psychic medium, Melissa Ferrazano, who is our basically case manager as well. Melissa can be reached at psychic, PHYSHIC, psychicmediumautumn.com. So psychicmediumautumn.com. And our team website is phantom, PHANTOM, detectives.org. And we're going to be going to world's largest ghost hunt on September 24th at the Poplar Hill Mansion in Salisbury, Maryland. Very historic, dates back to 1794. And we're also going to be doing an investigation at the Carriage House Museum on October 15th. And also we're going to be doing museum collections training down in Lewis, Delaware. An old contact of Rick Coward from Delmarva Historic Haunts is going to get us some museum training so we can have access to the Cannonball House. This will open up 14 new buildings for us to investigate down in southern Delaware. So, we're always excited. So you can see all of our evidence on our team website, phantomdetectives.org. All the EVPs are there, thermal images, and we're always constantly expanding it. We got a Discord server now. So if any of your people would like to join our server, all they got to do is go to the rules channel and click the green check mark at the top after they accept and join. So we got a Discord server. So we're constantly adding new, things to our website to make it more user friendly.
That's fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
Wow.
One last thing I want you to plug. Summerwind. Where can people contribute to Summerwind to restore an old property?
Sure. So if people want to contribute to Summerwind, the mansion and all that, you can just go to Facebook, and Craig and my friend Michelle Fontana, who's a descendant of Jonathan Carver, the alleged ghost on the property, they run the group there. You can either join Fox Valley Ghost Hunters on Facebook just by typing in Fox Space Valley Ghost Hunters on Facebook, and you can also just go to the group Facebook groups page, and then just type the word Summerwind Haunted Mansion on Facebook, and the group should pop up, and Craig will probably let you join in and participate in the rebuild of Summerwind. So Summerwind Haunted Mansion or Fox Valley Ghost Hunters on Facebook.
Fantastic. Josh, we want to thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate you coming in and showing us your evidence and showing us how much you're involved in the paranormal. It's always fantastic to see people like that. That's phenomenal. We appreciate everybody in the paranormal community.
Oh, absolutely. And I really look forward to seeing you guys in the near future. And if you guys ever like to interview the team, I'll give you their contact information. And if you can bring on Melissa or Rick, that would be awesome.
That sounds great.
Cool. Thanks for that.
All right, guys, I want to reach out and express our thanks to everybody that joined in this week. Always, Melissa Blackman, you are awesome. We love you so much. Yep. Genghis Khan, ERRT Radio, that's Ronald. Ronald, thanks for stopping by. Yep. Scott, again, thanks for stopping by. Ronald was here as Ronald and ERRT Radio. He's double dipping.
Speaking of double dipping, Dos Holtes. Dos Holtes.
That's what I was just going to next. Steve and Katie were both here at the same time. Wow. That is fantastic. Thanks, guys, for stopping by. Carrie was here. Let's say hi to Carrie, everybody. Everett from Piedmont. Everett always stops by, and he said, if you can dodge a orb, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah, that was funny. I saw that before.
Kathy Casanova, thank you for stopping by. Facebook user, thank you.
Yeah,
you're here every week. Yeah. Steve Colonna is a buddy of mine here in Charlotte. Thanks for stopping by, Steve. Aaron, you're phenomenal. Little Miss Aaron. Why do we call her Little Miss Aaron? Oh, okay. Rebecca Jackson, Courtney Peterson. Who did I miss? Gina, I said Scott.
Yes, Gina. That's right.
Yeah,
Gina Bengtson.
Yep. Bengtson, yep.
Ricky Helliard. Helliard, thank you for stopping by. You better message me back, brother. I've been trying to get you back on the show. I'm going to kick your ass.
Anton Ritter, too, was here.
Yes. Anton Ritter. Yep, that's right.
Anton Ritter. Yeah, he always stops by. It's nice to see him again, too. Guys, we appreciate it. We will be here again next week, same time. If you're in Gettysburg Bash this weekend, look for us. Audra and I will be there. Ron and Lourdes will be there. Unfortunately, Tony and Cherie won't. Damn it.
I know.
Anthony Simonelli will be there. April will be there. April's one of the guests, right?
Who knows? We might be joining, right?
I don't know. Are we catching a last-minute flight?
I know.
Come on into Charlotte. You can ride up Saturday morning.
That would be cool. Just saying.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping in. Thank you again, Josh, for being a guest on EVP. We enjoyed the time we had with you, brother. I sound like I'm from Hawaii now. Look at that, brother. I appreciate you coming in, bud. We all appreciate you stopping by, showing your evidence. It was fantastic.
Thank you. Have a great
night. Guys, honestly, if you're in Gettysburg Bash and you see the four of us running around and we're acting stupid, that's just normal. Stop and say hi. Bye, Josh. But real quick, before we hang up like Josh did, if you want to go to an old brothel and you want to catch really good evidence,
and boobies,
there's two things you got to do. You got to look for boobies, and you got to stay haunted. All right, guys, have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
What's your name?